It's not even controversial anymore.
People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.
Miranda, God bless America.
God bless America.
What'd you get there?
I couldn't help myself. I had to wear my favorite hat.
Oh, in solidarity with the 12-year-old from Colorado. I love it.
In solidarity. And honestly, we've talked about this flag on the show before. It is one of my favorite historical American flags.
I don't know if anyone has ever looked prettier in a Don't Tread on Me hat.
It's a little aggressive. Like the back of the hat says like liberty or death, don't tread. The front says ready to strike. Right. I got it at a gas station in the middle of Florida.
That doesn't surprise me. That's a gas station hat for sure. But you were also telling me, and I thought this was funny because we were chatting and we were talking about this 12-year-old from Colorado who had the Don't Tread on Me patch. In Florida, that flag is so uncontroversial that it's actually a license plate option.
Yeah, and they made it a license plate option. Actually, at the beginning of this year, you could start ordering it as a specialty plate, and it's pretty cool looking. It's solid black, yellow letters, and has the little flag on the side. So it is definitely not a problem if Jaden wants to come to school in Florida. He can wear his patch, no problem.
Do you have one of those yet?
What?
A license
no,
plate?
actually, I don't. I had renewed my tags and I'm like, for 2 years, I'm like, let me wait till I have to renew my tags and then I'll do it all at once. So next year I will have that for sure. Because honestly, I just want a black license plate and it's the only black license plate option in Florida. So
Of course you do. So goth. Every warm-blooded American man just fell in love with you, by the way, with this hat on. And woman, who knows? I don't judge.
who knows?
Okay, I do think we need to talk about Idalia, the hurricane that has really devastated areas of Florida. And you were showing me it caused a giant tree to fall on the governor's mansion.
Yeah, a huge 100-year-old oak tree got knocked over on top of the governor's mansion in Tallahassee, and DeSantis' wife and kids were at home when it happened. So that can't be, it's terrifying, even if a tree doesn't fall in your house when you're dealing with a storm that strong. But for a storm, the winds to be so strong that it's going to kind of rip out the roots of a 100-year-old tree, it kind of gives you an idea of how scary these things can actually be.
Yeah, and there's been pretty widespread damage. Not where you are in Miami. Are you guys okay?
Miami is unscathed once again. I don't know. There's something changed and we just don't get them much here anymore. I know, knock on wood, but we really just don't.
Yeah, I mean, but in terms of you've lived there for a long time, how many years?
I've lived here for 18 years this year, and my first year here in 2005 was when all those storms hit. I moved here the week Katrina hit. We had Wilma, Ophelia. We had a bunch of them that year. And then after that, we didn't have not a single, not even a tropical storm hit until like 2016. We got hit with Irma. And after that, nothing.
Yeah, it sounds like Idalia, though, made landfall as a Category 3 in Florida at Keaton Beach. I mean, can you characterize, I guess, from all the storms you've been through, the seriousness of this one from what you're hearing about the devastation?
When a storm hits on the Gulf side, it tends to be a little bit more devastating. The Gulf is a little bit less deep than this side, so you get these storm surges that just push inland, and they really devastate a lot of those low-lying areas. I mean, Florida in itself is just low-lying as it is, but when you have storms come from the Gulf side, they really do push a lot of water in. There's an obscene amount of flooding. On top of the fact that Florida has a huge housing insurance issue, this is just going to add insult to injury for anybody on the West Coast. It's still reeling from the last storm that I think was last year that they got hit with in Fort Myers. So it is going to be, I know there's still, there's been no reports of death. So that's always a good thing to lead with, but the property damage is going to be completely devastating once the storm and all the waters kind of subside.
Yeah, and you say West Coast of Florida. Out here on the West Coast.
West Coast of Florida.
It's always it's interesting to just hear about, the natural disaster issues you guys deal with versus us. I mean, ours, our big fear is obviously earthquakes, but then we have wildfires. Wildfires cause insurance issues for us here. But I remember there's many times where you guys were at your place in Miami Beach and you put all your valuables and everything that was important to you in the dishwasher, which is actually genius because it's
Yeah.
waterproof. And so, yeah, it's just, different parts of the country and different natural disasters, and just to see sort of how the preparation and reaction to all of them is interesting. But we're thinking of everybody in Florida. We didn't discuss this on the show earlier this week because I wanted to wait until you're on. Mayor Francis Suarez, Miami Mayor Francis Suarez already ended his presidential bid.
Yeah, he worked really hard, him and his campaign, to get qualified for that debate. And honestly, I think that if you can't get your feet on those stages, like on those debate stages in the early game, like it's really hard to come back from that. And I actually, it bothers me that it's so difficult to get on the debate stage, but I also understand why. You can't just have 35 people standing up there wanting to be president. You really got to narrow it down. But it does bother me that somebody so qualified and that has so much to offer the country couldn't get a little bit more of a foot in the door. But, we're happy to have him back. Obviously, Florida has its own needs. He's done wonders here in Miami, so he's going to continue to do that. And he put a really nice statement out about how nice it was to kind of share his success that he's had here in Miami with other leaders around the country. And in addition to that, like he talks a lot about how the Republican Party is starting to become a home for a lot of Latino Americans. Latinos feel very left out by the left and a lot of the efforts they're putting into like equality and whatnot. So they're finding a pretty solid home on the conservative end of things. And he's very welcoming. And he just kind of talked about how, suburban women and young people, professionals, entrepreneurs, these are the people that are going to carry the elections in the next few years. And if the GOP, if they really want to win elections in a real way, they're going to have to come to the middle and really just kind of like focus on these people that basically are the beating heart of America. So.
Yeah. And I share the sentiment that I wish he could have made one debate stage, because I think he would have skyrocketed. He's really just so smart. He's whip smart, really focused on the issues and really informed on some of these issues and what has made Miami very successful. But unfortunately, there does have to be some sort of cutoff. And I agree with his decision to say, okay, if I can't make the debate stage, and most Americans don't know who I am, how am I going to get a foot out there? I still pray to God that somebody considers him as a VP choice, because he would just do so well in that role. All right, Miranda, love the hat. Wear it proudly. Thank you.
Actually, let me say before we leave, I was going to wear this to a barbecue the other day when it was like a dad outfit barbecue. And so I had this hat and then my join or die shirt on. And everybody's like, you're dressed like a dad? I'm like, yeah, I'm a dad going through my Revolutionary War phase.
You're dressed like our dad.
I'm dressed like our dad. Yes. But there was a history teacher at the barbecue who deeply appreciated my outfit at the time. So
oh my gosh, I love it.
I encourage anybody who has these really cool historical kind of American hats to just go ahead and wear them and be proud and educate anybody who has anything else to say about it.
I agree. They'll get triggered, but you can talk them down by explaining history to them. All right, Miranda, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good week.
It's not even controversial anymore.
People know in Florida their freedoms are going to be respected.